Hi guys, Miss Davis here. I'm back for day 15 of the Anne Frank series. And so yesterday we left off with the journal entry that I wanted to read at the end of yesterday's collection, but I didn't get to it. So I'm going to start with that journal entry today, and I'm almost kind of glad it worked out that way because I took a look at some of the entries that follow after, and again found another similar theme. So I think it's a twofold theme. So one, there's this idea in some of Anne's journal entries today that feeling, I guess, regret and guilt over things she feels like she should have done when she was free to do them. Could have, would have, should have, and that's something I can identify with as an older woman now. I mean, I'm an old lady now. If I had a nickel for every could have, would have, should have in my life, I'd have a lot of nickels. So I think it speaks much maturity on Anne's part for her to look back at herself when she was a little younger, about a year and a half ago, and say, "Oh, I could have, should have done things differently." And then the second idea that kind of runs through this is the idea of what she would do if she were free again. So it's kind of a common theme that runs through these entries. I'm going to jump right into it today. I want to start with Saturday, 27th of November, 1943. Dear Kitty, yesterday evening before I fell asleep, who should suddenly appear before my eyes but Lise? I saw her in front of me, clothed in rags, her face thin and worn. Her eyes were very big, and she looked so sadly and reproachfully at me that I could read in her eyes, "Oh, Anne, why have you deserted me? Help! Oh, help me! Rescue me from this hell!" And I cannot help her. I can only look on how others suffer and die, and can only pray to God to send her back to us. I just saw Lise, no one else. Now I understand. I misjudged her and was too young to understand her difficulties. She was attached to a new girl friend, and to her it seemed as though I wanted to take her away. What the poor girl must have felt like I know. I know the feeling well myself. Sometimes in a flash I saw something of her life, but a moment later I was selfishly absorbed again in my own pleasures and problems. That was horrid of me to treat her as I did, and now she looked at me, oh, so helplessly, with her pale face and imploring eyes. If only I could help her. Oh God, that I should have all I could wish for, and that she should be seized by such a terrible fate. I'm not more virtuous than she. She, too, wanted to do what was right, and why should I be chosen to live, and she probably to die? What was the difference between us? Why are we so far from each other now? Quite honestly, I haven't thought about her for months. Yeah, almost a year. Not completely forgotten her, but still I had never thought about her like this until I saw her before me in all her misery. Oh, Lise, I hope that you live until the end of the war, that you will come back to us, and that I should be able to take you in and do something to make up for the wrong I did to you. But when I'm able to help her again, and she won't need my help so badly as now, I wonder if she ever thinks of me, and if so, what would she feel? Good Lord, defend her, so that at least she's not alone. Oh, if only you could tell her that I think lovingly of her and with sympathy, perhaps that would give her greater endurance. I must not go on thinking about it, because I don't get any further. I only keep seeing her great big eyes, and I cannot free myself from them. I wonder if Lise has real faith in herself, and not only what has been thrust upon her. I don't know. I never even took the trouble to ask her. Lise, Lise, if only I could take you away. If only I could let you share all the things I enjoy. It's too late now. I can't help or repair the wrong I have done. But I shall never forget her again, and I shall always pray for her. Yours, Anne. So this journal entry shows a lot of maturity on Anne's part to be able to look back at yourself just a short time ago, a year and a half or so ago, and to think back on, I could have been a better friend. I should have asked more about her life. I should have taken better care of her. And just yesterday in the journal entries we read, Anne was really sort of down on the secret annex and sick of being cooped up and feeling rather depressed and anxious. And today she is, you know, talking about how lucky she is to be there, and she wishes she could save her friend Lise by bringing her to the secret annex, and that that she could have what Anne enjoys there, which is relative safety and security and comfort and warmth and food and everything that goes along with it. So I think it shows a great deal of maturity on Anne's part and something I identify with, that the things I should have done before that I did not. Next entry is Monday, the 6th of December, 1943. Dear Kitty, when St. Nicholas Day approached, none of us could help thinking of the prettily decorated basket we had last year, and I especially thought it would be very dull to do nothing at all this year. I thought a long time about it until I invented something funny. I consulted Pim, and a week ago we started composing a little poem for each person. On Sunday evening at 7:45 we appeared upstairs with a large laundry basket between us, decorated with little figures and bows of pink and blue carbon copy paper. The basket was covered with a large piece of brown paper, on which a letter was pinned. Everyone was rather astonished at the size of the surprise package. I took the letter from the paper and read, Santa Claus has come once more, though not quite as he came before. We cannot celebrate his day in last year's fine and pleasant way. For then our hopes were high and bright. All the optimists seemed right, none supposing that this year we would welcome Santa here. Still, we'll make his spirit live, and since we've nothing left to give, we've thought of something else to do. Each please look inside his shoe. And as each owner took his shoe from the basket, there was a resounding peal of laughter. A little paper package lay in each shoe with the address of the shoe's owner on it. Yours, Anne. So I really love this journal entry, and the reason I do is because, one, I love Christmas and presents and surprises, and also, and even though it's not Christmas, it's Saint Nicholas's Day. Um, they last year had kind of treats, chocolates and things of that nature, and this year there's nothing left to give one another. Some of the earlier entries we did talk about how the Van Dans are completely out of money, and having to sell off things in order to get more, and in a time when you have no material items left to give, I think it's really quite beautiful that what Anne and Daddy, which is Pim is Anne's nickname for Daddy, that what they choose to give is words. They write little poems for each person and give their words away as gifts. And I like to think about words that way. I know I'm an English teacher, but I think that in the right way, that words can be the greatest gift that you can give somebody else. They're ideas, they're your heart and soul on paper, they're a piece of you. So if I could challenge you to do something today, it would be to write some words and give them away as gifts, presents to the people that you love. You can write your grandma a letter. You can write your sibling or a loved one a poem and mail it or give it to them. You'd be surprised just how much that would mean to somebody, to get a piece of you, your words, given as a gift. It's really kind of great. So give your words away. Next journal entry, Wednesday, the 22nd of December, 1943. Dear Kitty, a bad attack of flu has prevented me from writing to you until today. It's wretched to be ill here. When I wanted to cough, I crawled under the blankets and tried to stifle. Usually the only result was that the tickle wouldn't go away at all, and milk and honey, sugar or lozenges had to be brought into the operation. It makes me dizzy to think of all the cures that were tried on me. Sweating, compresses, wet cloths on my chest, dry cloths on my chest, hot drinks, gargling, throat painting, lying still, a cushion for extra warmth, hot water bottles, lemon squashes, and in addition, the thermometer every 2 hours. Can anyone really get better like this? The worst moment of all was certainly when Mr. Dussel thought he'd play doctor and came and lay on my naked chest with his greasy head in order to listen to the sounds within. Well, not only did his hair tickle unbearably, but I was embarrassed, in spite of the fact that he had once, 30 years ago, studied medicine and has the title of doctor. Why should the fellow come and lie on my heart? He's not my lover, after all. For that matter, he wouldn't hear whether it's healthy or unhealthy inside me anyway. His ears need syringing first, and he's becoming alarmingly hard of hearing. But that's enough about illness. I'm as fit as a fiddle again. 1 centimeter taller, 2 pounds heavier, pale, and with a real appetite for learning. There's not much else to tell you. We're all getting well together for a change. There's no quarreling. We haven't had such peace in the home for at least half a year. Ely is still parted from us. We received extra oil for Christmas, sweets and syrup. The chief present is a brooch made out of a 2.5-cent piece, and shining beautifully. Anyway, lovely, but indescribable. Mr. Dussel gave Mommy and Mrs. Van Daan a lovely cake, which he had asked Miep to bake for him. With all her work, she has to do that as well. I also have something for Miep and Eli. For at least 2 months I have saved the sugar from my porridge, you see, and with Mr. Kufius's help, I'll have it made into fondants. It is drizzly weather, the stove smells, the food lies heavily on everybody's tummy, causing thunderous noises on all sides. The war at a standstill. Morale rotten. Yours, Anne. So this journal entry makes me think of a couple different things. One, most presently, and obviously, is that Anne gets the flu and is sick and takes her about 2 weeks in between journal entries to get nursed back to health where she feels like she can write in her journal again. And so during this coronavirus quarantine and worldwide pandemic where everybody is shuddering in their homes to avoid the spread of a sickness, much like, with similar symptoms, coughing, fever, sore throat, things of that nature, it is very much present for me about reminding me of the why we are doing all this, because we don't want our loved ones to get sick. God forbid, we don't want anybody we love to get sick. So there's that, most obviously. And then again, there's this idea of kind of being still tucked away. I think it's very sweet that it took 2 months for Anne to save the sugar, to not have the sugar herself for 2 whole months so she could make a couple of candies for Miep and Eli. So that's very, very sweet. And also, speaks to the level of sacrifices that must be made when times are hard and it takes a long time to do something small. And so I've got this sign on my wall. It says, do small things with great love. And that's kind of what Anne is doing. Miep is really something special. And then, the last line of the entry, the weather is awful, the food's stinky, we have food, but it sits heavy in our stomachs. There's no news. And so because there's no news on the war front, the morale is rotten and blah. Can understand that today. It's been about 3 weeks into this whole thing, and I'm sympathizing. Last journal entry I want to do today is Friday the 24th of December, 1943. Dear Kitty, I have previously written about how much we are affected by atmospheres here, and I think that in my own cause this trouble is getting much worse lately. She quotes a line in a foreign language. I'm not going to butcher it. It's a line from Goethe. It means on top of the world or in the depths of despair. She says, on top of the world or in the depths of despair certainly fits here. I am on top of the world if I only think how lucky we are here compared with other Jewish children, and in the depths of despair comes over me when, as happened today, for example, Mrs. Kufius comes and tells us about her daughter Corey's hockey club, canoe trips, theatrical performances, and friends. I don't think I'm jealous of Corey, but I couldn't help feeling a great longing to have lots of fun myself for once, and to laugh until my tummy ached. Especially at this time of the year with all the holidays for Christmas and the New Year, and we're stuck here like outcasts. Still, I really ought not to write this because it seems ungrateful, and I've certainly been exaggerating, but still. Whatever you think of me, I can't keep everything to myself, so I'll remind you of my opening words. Paper is patient. When someone comes in from outside with the wind in their clothes and the cold on their faces, then I could bury my head in the blankets to stop myself thinking, when will I be granted the privilege of smelling fresh air? And because I must not bury my head in the blankets, but the reverse. I must keep my head high and be brave. The thoughts will come not once, but countless times. Believe me, if you've been shut up for a year and a half, it can get too much for you on some days. In spite of all the justice and thankfulness, you can't crush your feelings. Cycling, dancing, whistling, looking out into the world, feeling young, to know that I'm free, that's what I long for still. I mustn't show it, because I sometimes think if all 8 of us began to pity ourselves, or went about with discontented faces, where would it lead us? I sometimes ask myself, would anyone, either Jew nor non-Jew, understand this about me? That I'm simply a young girl badly in need of some rollicking fun. I don't know, and I couldn't talk about it to anyone, because I know I should cry. Crying can bring such relief. And that's where I'm going to pause. There's more to the entry, but I'm not going to get to it today. This question, would anybody understand this about me? Yes, we would, and we all do, and I know that you guys are missing your things. You're missing your sports, you're missing your concerts, you're missing your rollicking fun. Hang in there. We can get through this. See you tomorrow.